Good evening and welcome to Sailing in Time by reading in D29. This is a time where we bring bedtime stories to your home.
We hope you loved our authentic jingle with music, lyrics, and beat created and produced by PS95 Debbie Jean and her brother Jason Jean. PS95 Choir on vocals led by choreographer Antoinette Glasgow. A big shout out to the administrative team at PS95, Principal Kim Hill, Miss Williams, and Miss Fennell for their leadership and for supporting D29's literacy initiative. It's a family affair here at D29.
My name is Adrian.
And my name is Isabel.
We are from District 29, the district that shines. We are students from PS 181's Blazer TV, where Dr. Lucille Olivo is our principal.
We will be your Sailing in Time host this Sunday. This is a time where D29 joins you and your family as we bring literacy to your homes. We bring guest readers to you every Sunday at 7 p.m., except on holidays. Sailing in Time aligns with the Mayor and Chancellor's Literacy Initiative, NYC Reads, supporting bright stars and bold futures.
And now, we want to share our mystery word from this evening's book of choice. The mystery word is illiterate and genealogy. Let's take a moment to review the definition.
The definition of genealogy means learning about your family and where you come from.
Our next word is illiterate. Illiterate means unable to read or write.
Make sure you share the mystery words with your ELA teacher, noting that you joined Sailing in Time in D29 on this date. We will see at the end of the month which school will win prizes in celebration of being the school with the most students who tuned in this evening.
Also, please don't forget to answer the survey poll and scan the QR code that appears on the screen to add your name, grade, and school. I'm so excited to announce our reader for this evening tonight. Our guest reader is Cheryl Wills.
Cheryl Wills is an Emmy Award-winning journalist, author, and public speaker who was raised right here in Queens. She has been a prominent figure at Spectrum News New York 1 since its launch in 1992, making her one of the station's most tenured on-air personalities. Wills currently anchors the evening newscast New York Tonight at 8 p.m. and New York 1 at 10 p.m. and hosts the weekly public affairs program In Focus with Cheryl Wills. Cheryl Wills has written books about her family history, including the story of her great-great-great-grandfather, Sandy Wills, who was a brave soldier in the Civil War and fought for freedom as part of the United States Colored Troops. We present you this evening, Cheryl Wills.
Welcome to Blazer TV, PS 181Q, the Brookfield School. I'm your host today, Cheryl Wills from New York 1, and I have a special guest who's very familiar to this district, Dr. Crystal Bonds, the fabulous superintendent. So, Dr. Bonds, it's so wonderful to have you here. It's an honor to be in this school. And tell me, with Juneteenth coming up, what do you want students to really pull from the Juneteenth holiday?
That Juneteenth is where we memorialize the end of slavery. Mm-hmm. It's the emancipation is the end of it. And we use June and teenth because it's in June, and it's a combination of a word between June and 19th. So it's June 19th, and they combined it to be Juneteenth. But I want all students to know, remember, and understand that this commemorates the ending of slavery for our people.
Yes, indeed. And when you think of the ending of slavery, that affects a lot of students in this school. Slavery
Correct.
not only happened in the United States with my family, but it also happened in the Caribbean. It happened in
Correct.
South America. So talk to us about how this holiday really affects so many students.
It affects the whole African diaspora. And PS 181, including our district, District 29, the district that shines with over 17,000 students. We have such a melting pot, such a diverse group of students. So students can look into their history and understand that this can relate to me and my family. And I can learn a lot about slavery and the lineage of our people in so many different aspects. So Juneteenth, even if you are not from the African diaspora, you can learn from the struggle and the journey of people. So it's for everyone to learn about. So having all of our students understand and to commemorate this day, Juneteenth, it's very important.
It's very important. And people hear of slavery and they think sad, but actually Juneteenth is also an empowering story, right?
Agreed. Agreed. It's an empowering story that we know that this commemorates the end of it.
Yeah.
And that people were able to move past it. There were still struggles.
Yes.
It wasn't an easy transition, but it freed people.
Yeah, and they were survivors like my family. I think you want to ask me some questions,
Yes,
right?
now I'd love to ask you some questions. So we are so happy to have you in District 29 and to tell your story of your great grandfather, Sandy Wills, and you'll be reading to our young people about that story. Tell us about that and what inspired you to even just take this journey.
Sure, and I want our audience to know that I'm a Queens kid.
Yes.
I'm a Queens
Yes,
kid.
ma'am.
I went to PS 225 in Rockaway Beach and Junior High School 180. So it is truly an honor to be back in my home borough sharing this empowering story of my great-great-great-grandfather, Sandy Wills. Again, I'm Cheryl Wills, carrying the same last name after more than 200 years. And I'm so proud to tell the story of how he emancipated himself from a plantation in Tennessee, fought in the Civil War, was honorably discharged, and went on to have a family. And he became a great American to so many. And then his story was lost.
Yes.
And erasure is such a real thing. It's a tragic thing that affects not just my family, but millions of families. Lost legacies.
Yes.
I didn't find out about Sandy Wills until 12 years ago. And when I think about sitting in PS 225, the great-great-great-granddaughter of a Civil War veteran, and no one knew.
No one knew.
I didn't know, my
No.
father didn't know, my grandfather didn't know, and we're just walking around with this honor over our heads. And we were unaware. So that is truly the Juneteenth story that I love to share. What is your legacy?
What is your legacy?
Juneteenth, like you so beautifully said, belongs to us all. It truly does. This is an American federal holiday, and rightly so. Celebration of the end of slavery. May it never cross our shores again.
Please, God. I'd also like to ask you another question. I remember when you had started the journey with your grandfather.
Yeah.
How did you find the grit
Yeah.
to continue to go, barring all of the obstacles that came in front of you? And what message would you tell our young people when you face adversity?
Yeah.
What do you have to share with them to keep going?
Yeah, so I'm a New Yorker like yourself, and I went into the Deep South, and no one knew what to think of me. I mean, I can't get in their heads and say what they thought, but everyone was sort of like, who is this? And I had obstacles a mile high.
Right.
I simply never gave up because I thought of my humble roots growing up in public housing, how my family was steered and redlined our entire existence. Here in New York, when my grandparents were part of the Black migration, they were steered into certain neighborhoods where they could live. So my family is very familiar with being banned, being redlined, being put into the colored only section. And I knew when this story came to light, I said, I will not be silenced. I will not be bullied.
Fair.
My family has paid a tremendous price in the country of our birth, and the buck stops here today.
Period.
And even if I felt nervous, I wasn't going to let anyone know, because this was the right thing to do. Let's be clear. Sandy Wills, a Civil War veteran, did not belong in an unmarked grave. Full stop. Full stop. And anyone that couldn't understand that, I hope you get to understand it, but it's for me to understand.
Correct.
And it's for his granddaughter to rescue him. And I walked in complete faith. Was I nervous at times? Yes. Did we receive obstacles left and right? Yes. Did some people not like me? I'm sure. But what was important, and the message for students, is that you like yourself. That's where it begins, because when you like yourself and believe in yourself, you will have backup. I don't know what that call it God, call it your ancestors. I don't know what to call it, but you will not walk alone. When you believe in what you're doing and it's the right thing to do. And I tell you, as you saw in that video, no one could say, oh, Cheryl, this is a safe bet. We're definite. No one could tell me that.
No.
But I walked in the same faith of my ancestors. And I thought about what was it like to walk in the darkness, not owning even your own body. Someone owned your body. And when I thought about what they went through, I said, I'm walking on easy street.
Correct.
No matter what I do in this life, I'm walking on easy street. And that's the message to our students. You're walking on easy street, baby. Compared to what your ancestors went through, if they survived, you can thrive. And that's the message. They survived, so you can thrive. And that's the Juneteenth
That's
message.
it. The Juneteenth message. If they survived, you can thrive. We are so happy to have Miss Cheryl Wills here today, and just wait until you hear the story. It is riveting. We want to thank you to Blazer TV, PS 181, and Dr. Lizette Olivo, Principal.
Dr. Olivo.
Thank you for having us. Enjoy.
I want you to know that President Obama, remember President Obama?
Yes.
I met him, and he was the first president to ever acknowledge the service of Sandy Wills. This is an actual certificate he sent me. The United States of America honors the memory of Sandy Wills, and he signed it. That's the first time anyone ever acknowledged my Civil War grandfather. Because when I was your age, I did not know that I had a great-great-great-grandfather who was enslaved and fought for his freedom and all of our freedom during the Civil War. So I want to uplift his legacy every chance I get. This is what's not in the book. My father didn't know about Grandpa Sandy. My grandpa, who lived in Astoria, Queens, didn't know. His father, Alan, didn't know. No one knew. And you know what? There's a word for that. It's called erasure. Erasure. Your legacy erased, as if your family was never here. Erasure. And it's a tragedy. Sandy should not have been forgotten. He did a great thing. He did a wonderful, powerful thing. When, as you know, when he was 23 years old, he ran away from a slave plantation. You read it, and this is his actual enlistment record. I want you to know that what you read in the book was not fiction. Now I put it into a story and into a dream, but this is real. Sandy Wills, USCT, United States Colored Troops. He was 23 years old. He stood 5'9.5" tall. This is his actual enlistment record, and as you read in the book, he did not go alone. He went with his friends.
Owned by Edmund Wills, Haywood County, Tennessee. I want you to know he was a real person. Owned by Edmund Wills, Haywood County, Tennessee. Owned by Edmund, over and over. This was a tragedy. This, as you know, this was a tragedy. No one should own anyone. Now we know that that's very wrong, but guess what? Back then, the country was divided. Some thought it was wrong. Others thought, what's the big deal? See, you can rationalize anything. It's always important for good people to speak up when they see something wrong happening. Slavery was wrong. It was wrong then, it was wrong now, it's been wrong as long as the earth has existed. No one should own another person. This did tremendous damage to generations, and we still see the residual effects today. As you know from reading the book, Sandy was successful. My great-great-great-grandpa was successful. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. And he received his honorable discharge after he completed his service in the Army. Guess what? Let me ask you all a question. Could he read this? Very good. You really read the book. They handed this to him, and he couldn't read a single word. Was it his fault?
No.
Why wasn't it his fault? Yes, yes.
Because when people were slaves, they couldn't read or write.
Perfect. Perfect. That's exactly right. It wasn't his fault. Generations of Africans enslaved in America were forbidden from doing what you're doing right now, sitting with a book and reading it. Someone tell me why. Why?
They might learn how to read or also write.
Excellent. Why?
Because if they learn how to read and write, they might escape and get a lot of knowledge.
Bingo. Why?
Also, if they learn how to read and write, they can overpower the people that own them.
Excellent. Why?
Knowledge is power.
Woo! Give all of them a hand. Woo! Every single answer was correct. Every single one was right on the money, because knowledge is power. And when you commit evil and you decide you want to control someone from the cradle to the grave, you cannot allow them to be intelligent. But guess what? So many of them were intelligent anyway. Sandy was intelligent anyway. Sandy was smart anyway. Those soldiers were smart anyway. Why? Because you truly cannot keep good people down no matter what you do to them. You cannot stop the power of the human spirit. It will rise again no matter what. And so it's been my honor to write multiple books. I only found out about Grandpa Sandy 12 years ago. Can you imagine that? 12 years ago. And I've written many, many books. You have this one, The Emancipation of Grandpa Sandy Wills. There's also a book about his wife called Emma. She was a real person. They married after slavery, and they were the first in the family to have free children. This was the man who owned Emma. There are not many people who will walk into your classroom and show them the owner of their family 150 plus years ago. Understand the power of this moment. His name was John Bertie Moore. He owned my great-great-great-grandmother, Emma. It's so important to take your history back, to take your power back. Knowledge is power. This is power. And remember that last name Moore. My grandma Emma was Emma Moore. And after her husband died, I'm going to fast forward, she sued the army because they didn't want to give her a pension after Sandy died. A pension is a check you get every month from an institution, an organization, or whatever it is. She sued. And this is how I got so much of the information in your book. Emma said, my husband fought in the Civil War. I was owned by John Bertie Moore. Edmund Wills bought my husband when he was 10 years old. All of that information is in your book. This is called a primary source. A primary source. So with all of this information, I was able to paint a picture about my family's existence during slavery. Look at this. After she spoke, someone wrote, her lawyer wrote this for her. When they got to the end, they said, Emma, we need you to sign this. Could she sign it? No. Very good. So her lawyer signed it for her. Emma Wills, her mark. Listen to that again. Her lawyer signed it for her. Emma Wills, her mark. And they handed her a pen. This really happened. If this doesn't make you become the best you can be, I don't know what will. And she scribbled one little X. There it is. Can you imagine going through your entire life, signing your name with an X? Do you know this did not just happen to my grandmother? It happened to millions and millions of people who were disenfranchised, not just black people, poor white people, Latinos, anyone that the system wanted to stay rock bottom. They did everything they could to keep you there. Be the best students you can be at all times. Be the best you can be, because I promise you, this X does not belong to me alone. I will say it again. It's your X. It's your teacher's X. It's your principal's X. If we go back far enough in anyone's genealogy, you will find someone that this happened to. Don't get angry. Just be excellent. Don't be mad. Just be extraordinary. That is the best thing to happen, and that's what I do every single day. That's why I'm here. I strive to take back the X, to be excellent. Can we say excellent together? Excellent. To be extraordinary. Can we say that? Extraordinary. To be exceptional. Exceptional. That's how we take back the X. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Great. So here's where the story picks up from where it left off. And when I'm done, I can't wait to hear your questions. I found the plantation where Sandy and Emma lived. It happened since that book was published. Moorland, named for John Bertie Moore, the painting I showed you of this slave owner. It is still there, frozen in time. What do you mean, Miss Wills, frozen in time? I mean, they still sell the same cotton that my family planted during slavery. Frozen in time. On this land is the grave of John Bertie Moore, his wife Judith Moore, and one of his children. I said, wow, when I found this out. And I found Joel. He helped Emma fill out paperwork because he was a nice guy. He didn't like what his family did during slavery. So he actually helped Emma for the rest of her life. When I found this out, I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Where's Grandpa Sandy then? He lived here and he died here, but I can't find his grave. Wouldn't you want to know where Sandy Wills was buried? Yeah. Did you notice I don't say anywhere in that book where he's buried? Yeah. Because he was missing since he died in 1889. And I finally had to meet the descendants of John Bertie Moore. This was the most incredible meeting of my life. I had to meet his great-great-great-grandchildren, the great-great-great-grandchildren of slaves, met the great-great-grandchildren of slave owners. This was an incredible meeting. I said, I've written books about my family, and I need you to tell me where Sandy might be buried. And they took me here. It was on their property. And they said, we never touched it. We never touched it. This really happened. And I looked and I said, well, where are the markers? And they went, there were never any markers there. I couldn't believe my eyes. All of these years of me talking about Sandy, writing books, visiting schools all over the country. And they also said, oh, by the way, we saved the house. Can you believe? They saved the house. Only one left. How many people will get the opportunity to see the actual house that their enslaved family, that many, maybe two, I'm one of them. I couldn't believe it. And I said, well, thank you for saving the house, and thank you for saving this sacred land. But I can't just walk away from this. And they said, well, what do you mean? I said, a Civil War hero is buried under leaves and trees. And he's my great-great-great-grandpa. I visit schools teaching about it. I have to find him. And they said, oh, no, no, there won't be any digging. No, no, no. And I went, yes, yes, yes. Yes. You have to learn to stand up for yourself in the face of resistance. And I said, I'm hiring an archaeology team. And it took many years, and we talked a lot. And I finally got them to understand why this was so important to me and, frankly, to you. This was my archaeologist, and we all sat in 2022, and he explained, well, there's no guarantee we're going to find Sandy Wills, but it's worth a shot. It's going to be very expensive, and Cheryl is going to pay for the whole thing. I do this all the time, he said. And it wasn't easy, but he got to work. And the first thing the archaeologist did, he cleared all the leaves and all the leaves and debris. And then he put a drone up in the sky and he measured the hill. It was 1 acre. And then he used ground penetrating radar. And what that does, GPR, ground penetrating radar. And what it does, he went over the hill and it can detect if the earth has been disturbed to build a grave. It can't see any bones or anything like that, but it can say there was a grave here. There was a grave here. There was a grave here. And when he was done, he gave me a report and he said, Cheryl, there's a good chance your Grandpa Sandy's one of these yellow rectangles. I couldn't believe it. I went from writing a story to being so close to finding him, but there was still no guarantee. The book in your hands, there was still no guarantee that I would find Grandpa Sandy. And so I kept going. We had to go to court. There was so much I had to do, and it took years, but I'm gonna go quick because I wanna hear your questions. This legal notice had to go in every newspaper in Tennessee. Notice is hereby given that Cheryl and Moorland Farm are pursuing a petition for DNA testing in search of the remains of Sandy and Emma Wills. I was getting so close. And finally, I had to stand before a judge in the deep South in Tennessee. You know I'm a New Yorker just like you. And I had to explain, Your Honor, my grandfather, Sandy Wills, was a great man. And his legacy was erased, not just from this country, but from his own family. His legacy was erased. And it breaks my heart that this Civil War hero is buried without honor. If we're lucky enough to find him, I want him to be reburied with full military honor, Your Honor. And you know what the judge said? He said, your petition is granted. Good luck. I hope you find your grandfather. And for the first time in 135 years, they went to work looking for Grandpa Sandy. They took shovels to take off the top layer, and I watched every moment. They sifted through the soil looking for any clue whatsoever. This was the moment of truth. And I watched. There was no guarantee that we were going to find him. I had nothing but faith. Because I love my family just like you do. It didn't matter that I hadn't physically met Sandy Wills. His DNA was still in my veins. And he was worth looking for.
Yes, but it's just nice to even touch this nail.
First thing we found were nails.
Maybe my ancestors hammered this nail in. But it's nice to be able to touch a piece of them. I don't know what else is. This is a mystery, but if this nail is it, this is beautiful.
And it was beautiful. And as the rain came down, I thought that was a sign. And I went into the house where they lived, and I could feel their presence. I could feel that they were saying, granddaughter, keep going. And then the backhoe came in. It was going all the way down to the bottom. This was the ultimate moment of truth. I was there, and the Moore family was there. Even they wanted to know now. First they resisted, now there they are. And CBS News was there too. 60 Minutes, the biggest TV news program in the country. We waited, and I prayed every step of the way. And when they got down to the bottom, the nails from the casket start beeping. Now, of all the graves they opened, they zeroed in on this one. Why? Because it was the only one that could hold a casket for a man 5'9.5" inches tall. It was the only one. The other graves they opened were too small, and there was no way Sandy Wills could have fit. And then a miracle happened. They found pieces of his skull, his legs, and most importantly, a full set of teeth.
Yes, thanks.
And here's the thing about teeth. When archaeologists find teeth, bingo! Why? Because your teeth will tell exactly how old you were when you died. And these teeth matched that of a 50-year-old man. Sandy was 50. And when they put together all of the other things they found, I mean, Sandy was melting. The casket was gone. Sandy was almost gone, but there was parts of his skull which confirmed it was a male. There were parts of his leg. They found little bits and pieces that were just left that confirmed this was a 50-year-old black male with a full set of teeth. And they put all of the other stuff together, and my archaeology team said, Ms. Wills, congratulations. We found Civil War veteran Sandy Wills. I was so happy, but I still had one more thing to do. I had to prove to the U.S. Army that this was actually Sandy. So we're going to move forward but I had him explain his findings. I had my archaeology team tell everything. And then the Army said, yes, this is Sandy Wills. And on last August, once the Army agreed, we reburied Sandy in a military cemetery. No more anonymous grave. My family carried a brand new casket to the plantation. And now they're exhuming him for the last time. That's my sister Crystal. That's my brother. That's my husband. That's my cousin. I made this a family affair. This is Sandy's grave. I bought a brand new casket for my grandpa because he deserved the best. All of the television cameras were there. Members of the military in Tennessee came. The Moore family was there. and they're handing my cousin the remains of Sandy, and they put it in my hands. They put Sandy Wills in my hands. And it was the most unbelievable experience of my life. Who gets to say this? Who gets to do this? Those are his teeth, pieces of the skull, remnants from his casket. And I said one last prayer. His great-great-great-granddaughter didn't forget him. And this is my son, John, and my husband, John, and my brother. And we're carrying Sandy Wills out of that plantation for the last time. What a great feeling to rescue him once and for all. And now we're at the military cemetery for the final salute. The flag-draped coffin, which he did not get in 1889 when he died. And I gave a speech in honor of my grandpa. Should have happened in 1889, but they didn't do it for Sandy's family because they were black. So it was truly my honor to receive this flag on behalf of Emma Wills and the family that didn't get it the first time. It's never too late to get justice for your family. Never too late. The 21 gun salute. And it all started with the power of the written word. For those of you who want to be writers, there's tremendous power in writing down your story, your legacy. And today, he's in Memphis, Tennessee, resting. This is a great Memorial Day message, wasn't it? He's resting with his comrades in a national cemetery in Memphis. A girl raised in the projects in Queens did that. Don't ever let anyone look at you and tell you what you can't do in this world. This world looked at me and they never would have imagined I would be who I am, that I would rescue a Civil War veteran, that I would be in movies and TV. Be excellent in all that you do and doors will open for you. Be excellent in all that you do and doors will open for you. Now I'm excited to hear your questions. Okay, hi, what's your name?
My name's Adrian Rodriguez.
Hi, Adrian Rodriguez. What's your question?
What inspired you and made you so dedicated to find your great-great-great-grandfather's remains? Explain.
Yes, excellent question. So what inspired me was the death of my dad. When I was in middle school right here in Queens, my father was killed in a motorcycle accident, as you know from the book, right? That's why I started the book that way, because that was such a shock to my little system when I was a kid. And my father kind of died in disgrace. He should have been home with his family, and he was not. And he died in the middle of his transgressions, if you will. And as his oldest child, it hurt me to know that my father, a veteran himself, left us like this. So I wanted to reconnect the dots of my father with the history he did not know, right? I often say if my father had known about Sandy Wills, he might not have walked away from his family. Because Sandy was a former slave, a father of 9, and he stayed with them till the end. He was a great, dedicated, devoted father. And my father, who was born in freedom, casually walked away from 5 kids. So I wanted to connect my father's past. I didn't know that this was there, but that was the inspiration. Thank you, Adrienne. Great question. Great question. Hi, what's your name?
Isabel Murray.
Hi, Isabel Murray. What's your question?
Do you have any future big projects regarding your family's history and ancestry?
Isabel, that's a great question. Yes, I do. We're planning a movie. We're planning a Broadway play. We're planning a TV series. How's that? We have a lot of plans for this story. And I just did a production at the Metropolitan Museum of Art last week in their auditorium. And 1,000 students were bussed in from all over the city. So I plan to take this empowering story to the stage and to the screen. Thank you. And write more books, of course, Isabel. Thank you for that great question. Thank you. Great job.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Juvence Benjamin.
What's your name?
Juvence Benjamin.
Hi, Juvence.
After doing your research, how did you feel finding out that your great-great-grandfather was given the last name Wills by Edmund Wills?
Yeah, that's a powerful question. So, and then many people ask me, and Cheryl, why do you still carry the last name Wills? That's a deep question, Juven, because the name was forced on my family, as is the case with many African Americans and Caribbeans. The name was forced on my family. Some of my friends, Juven, have changed their last names, their surnames, because they say, I don't want to carry this slave owner's name. Anyone ever heard of Malcolm X?
Yes.
That's what that X is about. His family just marked his 100th birthday last week. And he deliberately changed his name from Malcolm Little because he knew Little was the slave owner's name. And he shed it. But I'll tell you this, Juven, and to the whole class, I hold on to Wills. Guess why? Because of what's happening right now. People are trying to rewrite slavery. They're trying to say it wasn't so bad, it wasn't this, and they're literally banning books because they want to rewrite the history and make it palatable. What do I mean by palatable? Oh, it wasn't so bad. You know, they got free shelter. We took care of them. They weren't complaining. So I'm keeping the last name as evidence that a crime happened against my family. Every time you say Cheryl Wills, you just admitted that a crime happened against my family. Edmund Wills bought a 10-year-old boy. That was a crime. I don't care if it was legal or not. It was a crime against humanity. So every time Cheryl Wills' name is spoken, you acknowledge it. And for all the people that want to rewrite the history, speak my name, and I just upended your version of history. And that's why I hold on to Wills. That's a great question, Juven. Thank you so much. Excellent.
Great speech.
Thank you. Thank you, Juven. Hi, what's your name?
My name is Aiden.
Hi, Aiden?
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Aiden.
Have you done any research to figure out what your original last name really is?
Yeah, that's the powerful follow-up question. What was my real name? I hate saying, I don't know. I used to hate saying, I don't know who my ancestors were. Now I don't say that anymore. I know exactly who they were. So it's my hope, Aiden, that one day I will be able to reclaim my family's original name. That is my hope. I don't want a made-up name like an X, or some of my friends have just made up names. That's okay, but I want the authentic. I want to take back what was stolen from me completely, and that's what I feel this was. I took Sandy Wills back, and now I want to take back my name. I'm so glad you asked that question. Your name is powerful. And that was robbed. And you know what? I'm not the only one in this classroom whose name was robbed, whose legacy was erased. So now my goal is to get that name back. And when I do, I'm going to come back to your class. I don't care if you're in high school, but I'm going to come back and tell you my original name, okay? Thank you for that. Great question. Hi. What's your name?
Terry.
Hey, Terry. What's your question?
I noticed that you come from a family heritage of the musical talent.
Yes.
Do you have any musical talents?
Oh, I wish I do not. My talent is I'm the organizer, right? So everyone played, all the men played guitar, all the women played piano. I don't know, I took piano lessons, I couldn't get it. But I used to organize programs for all of them to play.
If you did have musical talents, what musical instrument would you pursue if given the chance?
Great question. Terry, I think I would play the piano. I feel like I should play the piano. I don't know why it didn't connect with me, but I think when I retire, I'm going to take piano lessons again and close that loop. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Cheryl Wills, for reading to our D29 scholars.
Thank you, scholars and family, for joining us for Sailing in Time by reading in District 29.
Scholars, please do not forget to scan the QR code to enter your name, grade, and school.
Thank you to all and have a great night.